Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Chad M back here with Sports Hub Central, riding solo today as Emily is on vacation. This week, the BCS has announced their entire bowl schedule, and after seeing some of the matchups, it has me absolutely fuming with the stupidity put into all of the scheduling and some of the matchups that we have about to take place here in the next couple of weeks. First of all, I cannot stand the fact that it takes 5 weeks to even get to the national championship. Talk about a build-up and then it just sort of completely dies down because of the fact that these teams have such a long period of time off. I mean, the whole thing is just absurd. What about the season ends and then immediately the games are starting? And I know that everybody's going to claim that it has a lot to do with the fact that these kids are in school studying and getting ready for their exams, but let's be realistic here. We know these kids going to these SEC schools and a lot of the big-time football programs, they're not there to go to school. They're there to play football. So let's put the football ahead of the education the way it's supposed to be. Now, when it comes to the matchups, no one can dispute Bama taking on Notre Dame here in the national championship. Say what you want about Notre Dame, a lot of their close wins that maybe they should have lost a couple, and the fact that they didn't have the hardest schedule, not being affiliated to a specific conference, going through that gauntlet like a team in the SEC would. But nonetheless, they were the only undefeated team. They deserved to be there. Alabama was the best one-loss team. They deserved to be there. But my biggest issue is the other games and how they just all of a sudden determined that Florida as the number 3 seed. Now, I understand that they lost one game and they came from the SEC, but given the fact that Georgia had already beaten them and they had to play an extra game, which was against Alabama, how is it such a defined logic that Florida's all of a sudden better than them when they straight up lost them? I don't understand how they can be ranked 3rd and Georgia can be ranked 7th. And then just in general, when you look at all these SEC teams, you've got the likes of LSU ranked 8th. You've got South Carolina at 10. You've also got Texas A&M at 9. Well, you know what? None of those teams are playing in any of the BCS Bowls. How is it that 4 out of the top 10 teams are not playing in the BCS Bowls? Pretty simple answer, because they have a stupid system in place that doesn't allow more than one representative from a conference to be playing in these games. Well, that makes no sense for a number of reasons. First of all, we all know deep down inside the BCS's primary objective is to generate the most amount of money as possible. So would it not be in their best interest to put teams in there that have the highest ranking, that have the biggest intrigue to get the public's interest and watch these games to drive up ratings? Instead, what are we going to see? Northern Illinois and Louisville. And nothing against those teams. They have very fine seasons. But when you look at the spreads that are put up in these games, Northern Illinois going on and taking on a Florida State team, being a double-digit dog. Same thing with Louisville against Florida. I think that's pretty accurate in terms of what the odds makers are expecting in terms of a competitive balance in these games. Yes, I know it might have been SEC overkill if you got a few more of those teams in there, but what's the point on having this entire ranking system if you don't put the best teams in the biggest games? That is what drives me nuts about all this. And I understand that there's going to be this playoff and it's going to help resolve these problems moving forward, but I just don't see it. Because at the end of the day, all the debating of who should be in the national championship game, there's going to be just as much debate over who should be the 3 and the 4 seed, and whoever was the 5 and the 6 is going to continue being on the outside bitching and complaining as well. How can someone say that Florida at the number 3 is necessarily better than Oregon at number 4 or Kansas State at number 5? And the list goes on and on. It should be a very simple process. What I've said from the get-go, and the BCS somewhat agrees with it because they want to see representation from every single conference, is you have every single winner of every single conference represented. You have at least 8, 10, 12 teams. You start this stuff right away, December 12th. December 10th. No waiting whatsoever. You get rid of all these shitty-ass bowl games at the beginning. Nobody cares about the Necky.com Car Bowl, the Alamo Hunger Bowl, the Kraft Hunger Bowl, the Papa John's Pizza Bowl. You know all these lousy GoDaddy.com. They go on and on. Who wants to see Louisiana Lafayette against Kent State and all these small schools? Nobody wants to see that. So go to a proper system. Give everybody a big-time playoff. And that would make things so much easier instead of this convoluted, complicated system that nobody seems to understand. And yet at the end of the day, they still can't put the best teams up against each other in January when the 3-4 big BCS games are supposed to take place. Whew. I'll take a breath because I know that you guys are still going to be into it. We're all sports fans. We're going to be watching these games come hell or high water, especially because of the fact that you have an opportunity to gamble on these games. And even though we might not necessarily like the matchup from an intriguing standpoint, we're surely going to take a look at the point spread and we're going to get in on some action. And you guys have that opportunity at BetHubb.com. You can check out the link below. You can sign up for your account, and if you already have one, that's fantastic. Make sure to check out for bonuses. There's going to be plenty around the holiday season. Get some extra cash in your account. You can go out there and challenge your friends, put up some wagers towards them, trash talk them, have some fun on the site, and get down on some of these exciting bowl games that will be taking place throughout the month of December and into the new year in January.